This is a good article from Vice. This will probably be a two-part video. This is so important, especially with the announcement that there is an over-the-counter birth control pill that is available in the aisles so women can go out and get them. Because this is true. Domestic abusers are using abortion bans to control their victims. So women need other ways to be able to control their reproductive system, which then dovetails into our finances. So let's get into this article. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, people warned abortion bans would become another tool for people to abuse their partners. A year later, early data indicates those warnings were right. In the year before Roe fell, roughly 1,200 people told the National Domestic Violence Hotline that they had endured some kind of what anti-domestic abuse activists called reproductive coercion, including being denied an abortion or being forced into one. In the years since that it was overturned, over 2,400 people said the same. That's a 99% increase. When you have laws that come along that are now stripping survivors of their bodily autonomy and the right to control their own lives and health, which is exactly what abusive partners are trying to do, it is taking the harm even further. Abusive partners now feel emboldened and justified in their use of reproductive coercion to control the survivor, which in many cases includes survivors being forced to become pregnant. Now, what does that mean in forced to become pregnant? Rape. Reproductive coercion occurs when abusive partners use sex as a tool to control, such as through pressuring their partners into sexual activities, refusing to use contraception or sabotaging it, or denying people access to reproductive health. Yesterday, people were on my post talking about birth control is unhealthy, or what about men's birth control? If we allow men to have access to birth control or control over birth control usage, how will they use it? Will they use it and sabotage it themselves? Will they use it and still attempt to get the woman pregnant? This is the reason why women need to have control of our reproductive systems. Okay, reproductive coercion is so common in abusive relationships that many survivors don't even recognize it as a form of abuse. But the center's housing department is currently working with 2 pregnant clients who went to get abortions and could not get them. One of them was blocked from leaving the house, while the other couldn't leave the state to get an abortion after Texas banned the procedure in almost all cases. This is how males are weaponizing politics and why a lot of men vote conservative and Republican, because it is for control. Part 2 is coming. This is part 2, talking about how abusive people are using abortion bans to control their partners. Okay, so the most common kind of abuse is economic. So many times our clients have no access to the financial resources, even if they're the ones earning the money. Financial abuse goes hand in hand with abuse of all kinds. So you guys have to be aware of that. Anything that has a cost, a financial cost associated with it, can be very challenging for a person in a highly coercive and potentially violent situation. Abortions can already cost hundreds of dollars, generally some more expensive the later into pregnancy they are performed, to say nothing of the cost of travel to and from a clinic. So understand that if you are in a state that has abortion bans, facing reproductive coercion and financial abuse will hamper your life. Okay, women who sought an abortion and got one reported experiencing less violence from the man involved in the pregnancy, according to data from the Landmark Turnaway study, which tracked women who were turned away from abortion clinics. Women who were denied abortions and forced to carry to term, however, were more likely to be exposed to abuse and violence. Please understand this. This is the reason why we have to talk about this, because women who have these babies are now anchored to these people. That's another reason I'm just going to push this, that the over-the-counter birth control ruling was very important for us. When you limit reproductive access, you automatically increase the lethality risk for women, because so many of them are incredibly vulnerable when they're pregnant. Now, that doesn't mean that every pregnant woman in an abusive situation wants to get an abortion or wants to terminate a pregnancy, but the failure to offer them that option is truly tragic, especially if they were coerced into having getting pregnant or had their birth control sabotaged. Okay. In late June 2023, the Supreme Court agreed to hear a case about whether the government can block people with domestic violence restraining orders from owning guns. This case has the potential to affect more than just abortion patients and DV survivors. Two-thirds of all U.S. mass shootings are linked to domestic violence, according to a study by Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions. Okay. In his opinion overturning Roe, Samuel Alito argued that the right to abortion is not deeply rooted in this nation's traditions. I just want to point out that sexism and racism is deeply rooted in this country. In attempting to control women by all of these means, the Supreme Court is just stripping rights from women and giving more weapons to these people who are able to harm women. So you guys go ahead, jump in the comments, tell me what you think, like, comment, share.